Buenos dias. Oh, buenos dias. Buenos dias. What it is, what it was, and what it shall be. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. And today is Wednesday, March the 9th. Wednesday, March the 9th of 2022. And the time is 12:45 Central. As I always, brothers, look at a powerful message today. One of the topics I like talking about because it really uncovers the underlying behind the scenes issues that a lot of people have when it comes to manifesting. We talk about manifesting, again, just getting results. So we're talking about the basic fundamental substance of the universe, the divine mind. So we have to break down how there is a global consciousness that has been incorporated into the ideals that form the mind inside of the mind. Simply meaning that we all have our way of seeing the world. And the way that we see the world is based upon something called social constructionism. And social constructionism is a very, very important frequency wave of vibration when it comes to the problems that exist inside of each and every one of our lives. Because we live in a world where the current frequency of Earth has been hijacked. Every time if you go through the history, look at the frequency of the world. We're going to break that down. Anytime it drops below 125, that's happened 3 times. Actually more than 3 times, but whenever it gets that low, there's always a world war. Most of the wars, they have to do something to get the consciousness of the world or the globe down. Because when you're vibrating at a high frequency and a high level, which is what we're talking about today, that is where our ideas, our beliefs, our values come that create our passion. Passion is not necessarily a thing. Passion is the product of a thing. So that's why I say you can't follow passion because something precedes it. You have to follow purpose. Because usually when you engage in something that you truly believe in, that generates passion, or what I call a collective high human frequency, even though we know we're not human. But for the sake of today's discussion. And so the dominant culture goal is to lower the collective earth frequency. That's it. Let me say it again. The dominant culture's goal is to make sure that they lower the globe collective. Now, you as an individual, you could have a high frequency, but the globe doesn't. So as long as we don't get a group of people, which is the whole purpose of the Life Management Center, and everything I'm doing is to get a group of people who have the same frequency. I posted a video where the guy, he has a tuning fork. I don't know if you guys saw that on Facebook. And he has, I think it's at 440. And then he has another, and he dong, but the other one is at 512 or something like that. Nothing happens. Then we get 2 forks that don't touch, and this happens regardless of distance. He vibrates one that is 440, ding, the other one that's 440 vibrates as well, regardless of distance. Now, there have been many experiments to prove this fact, that the frequency of the earth is a collective hive mind, what is called a collective consciousness. And we need to do our part in making sure that collective consciousness, again, is one that is as high as possible, so that way we can establish, again, what we all call heaven on earth. And so that's why people have these experiences that we talk about, and that's what that's what Jesus, that's the Bible, that's what everything is about. Everything is about holding a high frequency. That's what Jesus, he talked about in the Bible with a scripture where you bring in your gift, and he said, leave your gift at the altar, go back to the brother. And then the Bible talks about, faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these 3 is love. So the global frequency of the earth, according to physics and science, every time it drops this low, it's followed by a war. If you go out through the entire history of the world, since they've been, I guess, keeping this fact, This frequency, so there's two things that we are discussing today. Number one, the collective human frequency, and number two, social constructionism. Both of these is why our true power has been negated. Because our construct, our construction of our sociality, we don't really understand that it was an agreed upon fact. It is not a truth. So it's kind of like moral relativism. Now today does require you to have your thinking cap on, because we're talking about, as a group, if I can hold my frequency, and how do we hold our frequency? We're going to break that down in just a second. And if you can hold your frequency just simply means what the Bible says. Think on these things, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure. So the Bible pretty much tells us everything to do. I mean, it's like your how-to guide. Even though it's been hijacked and all the other stuff that we talk about, we still understand that, again, the world we live in is still based upon the Word. And source code gave you the ability to kind of select or choose the words. So when I think, like the book Think and Grow Rich, or like Philippians 4:7-8, I think it is, whatever some things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things have a good report, anything that has praise and value or virtue, think on these things. So it tells us. And then it goes on and gives us the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, gentleness. So we already know, because those are frequencies, but they're words. So I'm just going a little bit deeper down the rabbit trail than most people go, so that we can understand the value of your thoughts. So you don't have the luxury. Now you do. We all have it. We all have days. I had a dream last night about my daughter Shamora, and it was, she was sitting there with some more members of my family, and we were taking a test. And then I was the last person that passed the test and got, a robe to go up, and it was like this big mass choir. And my daughter Shamora was there, and she just hugged me because I passed this test. And I would just sit there, so I was late getting to the, rehearsal or the singing performance, because I did not want to stop hugging Shamora. But the thing that stood out was she was radiant. It was a blue-white color. It was very, very bright. And nobody else. And then out of all the weird things, the basketball player Steph Curry was in the dream. And we were the only two men. It was me and Steph Curry, and then like some of my sisters, my daughters was in that dream. And it was like, and I woke up and I had tears on my cheeks because I was crying in the dream. So I guess I was crying. Then when I woke up, I was crying, and it was so weird. But it was not a bad kind of weird. Obviously, it was a good kind of weird. Because again, some people say dreams are the real world, and this is a dream. And the real world is when we are dreaming. So I usually don't remember my dreams. So that gets into what is called the collective hive mind, or the collective human frequency. So on average, the collective human frequency is around 230, according to science. Now, individual frequencies, we're not talking about that, because every organ in your heart has a different frequency. And frequency is just another word for consciousness. Consciousness is just another word for feeling. So we can go deep and get all mystical and all of that stuff, and then a lot of people don't understand what I'm saying. I'm just saying, instead of being full of fear, full of faith. So right now, the world, unfortunately, is full of fear. And when you're full of and all of recorded history, every time the world is full of fear, that's when a war pops off. It's really easy because everybody's already in a state of fear. And so when we enter, or when we are in this state, it makes it really easy for the dominant culture, or whoever they are, to basically pop off negative activities, like what's going on in the world today. And the only way to stop, or the best way to stop it, is not by fighting physically, because as the Bible says, the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but they're mighty through God for the pulling down of strongholds. And so there is a platonic vortex mathematic energy grid within inside of each and every one of us. And what if you could, I want to use the word wield, or what if you could understand and have an influence on the atomic scale? What that simply means is that when we talk about how things work, so everybody talks about like words like spiritual discernment. People talking about, like I talk about that a lot, or spiritual gifts. So when the spiritual body is establishing consciousness, it gets its strength and its power from source, which is what we call feelings, emotions, and thoughts. And so God plants, if you want to use that term, himself. And like we talked about yesterday, there's an animating principle in the ether. Scientists cannot figure it out. They just call it the animating principle. Now, the Bible calls it animating principle pneuma and ruach, which means spirit, Holy Spirit. So when you receive the Holy Spirit, you are animated. That's how you can walk around. So it's in the air, though. And everybody has access to the animated principle. Now, you're supposed to be one with this animating principle, meaning that the animated principle is here to assist you with maintaining your collective consciousness so that way you don't drop. Now, everybody drops down into what we call sad. You feel sad. But remember, as we broke down sadness turns into depression if you stay down there too long. So there's nothing wrong when the events happen and you feel, like when I lost Shamora. There's nothing wrong with, grieving. And then there's periodic grieving, meaning that, like I tell you guys, sometimes I just ride by the high school because, Janine and Alec, my kids now, still go to that same high school. And I have flashbacks of memories, PTSD, whatever you want to call it. So I just pull over alongside the road and get me a good cry and, wipe my face and I'm good. So there's nothing wrong with that. But what if I stayed there in that state of chronic, where it becomes toxic, where I'm no earthly good? Well, that's the dominant culture's goal. So the only way for me, before we get into social constructionism, so you can understand how all this has been constructed with your sociology, with your social skills before you even got here, and we just enforce it. We got to understand how to hold. Number one, how do you establish? Because if the collective, then there would be no. Could you imagine if the collective, if everybody agreed? Because how does money have value? What gives money value? Well, the government said it and everybody agreed with it. What if the government said it but then nobody agreed with it? Everybody was like, nope, we're not using that as a medium of exchange. Well, when I say everybody, I mean your mom and pop grocery store. If you go to the grocery store, the mom and pop, they still have it there because it's mandated by the government. But they would accept other mediums of exchange. What would happen? But then you are deconstructing social constructionism, which means if you stop believing in it, it will go away. You meaning the globe. So if everybody stopped believing in driving on the right side of the road, if everybody stopped believing in stopping at a stop sign, if everybody stopped, think for a moment, if everybody stopped believing in breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and everybody just went to and started believing in one meal a day, what would happen? Think for a moment. We're talking about social constructionism. Social. So everything that you do is a social experiment that was constructed. But the question is, now remember, it was already done before we got here. So most people don't understand how social constructionism works. Because you have been socially constructed to believe in poverty. Poverty just doesn't exist. Just like there are certain levels, and I noticed it when blood pressure levels changed. I noticed that when the diabetes, to get more people to be classified as diabetic, they lowered the blood sugar number to enlarge the group. Nobody said anything. So I ask all the time, people who have had blood pressure, I asked him, what defines high blood pressure and what is it? Most of them, they just take the medication, but they can't tell me who determined that apostolic and diastolic level as high blood pressure. Most, not all, but most can't. What is considered high cholesterol? what is considered low cholesterol. For example, the weight chart that everybody uses when you go to the doctor. So who determined that if you are 6 feet tall, you're supposed to weigh, let's say, 200 pounds? Anything over that, you are considered obese. According to who? See, nobody, well, not nobody, but very few people, like this is what I think about every day, all day. I think about how social influencing works. And I think about how social contract and social constructionism works. And I'm blown away because when you look at socialism and reality, man, I am blown away. Who said that the kids got to go to school for 12 years? Why not 6? Or why not 20? Who said 12? So social constructionism is when we as individuals agree. So going to school 12 years, that ain't right or wrong. It's just agreed upon. Pretty much, I can't think of nothing that you do or that I do that is not agreed upon. You know, I heard a great definition of the word reality. I thought this was very interesting. Reality is the thing that does not go away after you stop believing in it. That's reality. Let me say it again so we can ponder today just a little bit, because most people's problems are social constructs. They're not really problems, because somebody said that the median income is supposed to be what? So what is the living wage? Okay, who said it? Well, a group of people got together and agreed that if you make less than, I don't know what it is, let's say minimum wage is $12 an hour. So if you make less than $12 an hour, you multiply that times a year, then you're considered poor. So you qualify for programs. If you don't, then you're not poor. You don't qualify for programs. According to who? Well, according to whoever came up with this social construct or contract. So this social contract, it operates in all areas of wealth, health, wisdom, and relationships, and nobody challenges it because the dominant culture controls it. But it's a draconian system. That's why no war ever pops off if the global frequency is above 230. And every war pops off when the global frequency drops below 125. Because that's fear. 230 and up is faith. So whenever people are, but I got to because remember, globally, everybody naturally, because the natural rate is like the Schumann resonance. The Earth is like 7.8. It's kind of the pH. I think pH balance is like 7.6, 7.8. So you naturally vibrate when you kind of add up all your organs because they vibrate on different levels, and you divide it out and average it out. You vibrate on 7.8. The Earth vibrates on 7.8 hertz. So now this is based upon what they call millihertz or milliliters. So when somebody drops in vibration, it's because of what? Well, remember we talked about, we broke down low, social, the word social again, economics. Now we're talking about social contracts and social constructionism. So if you study this, there are people with PhDs in social and like moral relativism and social constructionism, because everything that, man, I can't think of nothing that is not, that we do, that is based upon God's law, universal spiritual law. Everything that we do is based upon man's social constructionism. So women wear dresses and men wear pants because of what? Well, society says that's what we should do. We eat 3 meals a day because of what? What is the biological facts? Like I can biologically prove that, the anal cavity was not biologically designed to be penetrated externally. It is an exit area. I can biologically prove it because it's attached to the intestine or the intestines. And it's a way by which, one of the ways by which the body removes waste out of the body. So when I talk to homosexuals, I've never mentioned scriptures. I just use biology, which I do, and I use theology, and I use cosmology. Because I understand, because everybody, religion is a social construct. It's not reality, because what is reality? Based on the definition. So reality is something that exists if the whole world stops believing in it. You should try it. Because your social construct is attached to a bad ideal. I mean, not you personally, but people, remember, this is what happened to me on January the 1st of 2009. I'm just breaking it down in a little bit deeper, more universally acceptable, intellectual manner, so that people could understand social constructivism when we look at it from how groups construct things for one another. They collaborate and we create. The highest frequency other than love is creation. So when you are, like every day I create a book, I create a show, like this show, I create something. So that's why my frequency is always high. Do you know that I'm invisible to some people? Now this is going to be rough for some of you guys who never studied or who haven't really got into social constructionism, who have not really got into moral relativism, and who have not really studied quantum physics and understand waveform duality. In other words, the same way that when I walk down the street, I see money. And I asked, like the other day, I was telling you guys when we walked out of Cracker Barrel, and there was a guy standing, getting into his car, and by his feet, there was money balled up. There was another couple on the sidewalk looking like they was looking at the money. They were talking. So I walked past and I immediately saw the money on the ground. I picked up the money and said, "Sir, I think you dropped your money." He looked in his pocket and he's like, "Oh, no, that ain't mine, young man. That's not mine." He's an older white gentleman. I turned to the Hispanic couple. I said, "Hey, did you drop your money?" They said, "No, it's not mine." So I looked around. There was nobody else to ask. How come now let's just assume that the money has been there. So how come I saw the money? I need you guys to really think, man, this is really, really, really deep. Because this is how God, this is how the universe works. So your brain, your reticular activating system blocks. I did a video yesterday on the magic, the power, the understanding of numbers. And there was some guy made a comment, "Oh, numbers don't mean jack." And I thought about, God is a God of numbers. Your name is converted into numbers. Do you know that your intelligence is determined by your name? If you change your name, you change your intelligence. Do y'all know that? Do y'all understand that? So the whole Dear Canadian report is based upon not only Catholicism, but Kabbalianism and Q, where we get the Kabbalahism, and Gematria. And we can keep going back when we get into Pythagoras and Chaldean. In other words, there's many different systems in place by which you convert numbers or letters into their numerical form. There are people who don't even know, they've never heard of it. Not that it's important or you need to hear of it, but that's how the universe works. That's how they make computers. Computers, they write a code in the zeros and ones. You got a whole language just with 2 zeros and ones. Quantum, they just added more bits. So that way you can be more intelligent. Now, this is what is called social construction. Meaning, I can construct an entire society just based off of people agreeing. Everything in society today is the result of a group of people who got together and decided. Everything that exists in the world today started in somebody's mind, and it was created. They were no smarter than you. Now, let me say this again very slowly. Everything that exists in the world today started inside of somebody's brain. Computers, remember Bill Gates, laptop, people laughed at him and he said, "I'm going to put a computer on everybody's desk." It's like, come on, man. Back then, computers were like a block. How you gonna put now you got a computer in your hand. Cell phones. They said that the technology on the cell phone, when they first went to the moon, the first trip, which is kind of proves to me that they didn't go, no study for the time, but they said the amount of technology in your cell phone today was what they used, or is greater than what they used back in 1960 or whenever it was when they went to the moon. Could you imagine that? Now, let's make sure you understand what I just said. The amount of technology in your cell phone, that's why I don't understand. I do understand, but that's the point of the class. You can't be broke. It's not possible. The technology in your hand, and everybody has a cell phone. So the technology in your hand right now today is more powerful than the technology that they had when they did the first moon flight or when they first broke the Earth's atmosphere. So every major wars cannot be fought unless the frequency of the globe is below 125. People will not tolerate it. It's a scientific fact. I've already did the research. You can go do the Harvard scale research too. Wars can only be fought when the collective consciousness of the world drops below 125. Before COVID, the collective consciousness of the world was 230. The only reason, again, now we can go and we can look at the Great Reset, written by your boy Klaus, I always be butchering his name, Schwab, who said, never let a catastrophe, he needs that word, go to waste. So this is engineered. Everything on Earth that happens, even the weather is engineered. Now, this is rough for us, Bible thumpers, because we believe God is in control of everything. Now, I'm not saying he is or isn't. I'm just saying that everything on Earth, if you stop believing in it, it will go away. Now, think for a moment, because I'm not saying you by yourself, it's the globe. So if the globe stopped believing in traffic lights would go away. Why? Nobody would abide by them. So that's a good and bad to that. That's an example. Going back to the 3 meals a day. Why do we eat 3 meals a day? A group of people got together and decided. So why do we eat cereal? Why is there cereal why is there processed stuff that we call cereal in a box that we eat in the morning? Why do we drink cow's milk? And we're the only species that drink another species' milk. Or why we don't package like human milk because we still want to drink milk? Why they got a bunch of ladies who were pregnant and I guess best do them the way they do cows? How come we don't do that? Why cows? Because social constructionism. It is socially acceptable. Why do women wear makeup? Why do you wear dresses? Why do men wear pants? Why do you go to school for 12 years instead of 4? Why come they don't teach you anything in school, any life skills in school? Why come they don't teach you how to, balance your checkbook? How to conduct yourself at an interview? How to control your emotions? How to process your anger? How come there was no bereavement classes in high school? Shit, I could have used that one. What do you do? When my mother died there, I just went to school every day. Nobody pulled me to the side and said, hey, young man, you need to talk, or, you go for therapy? What is that, black? We don't do therapy. So everything that we do, you go to 12 years is a waste. That's a waste of 12 years to me. The only thing I remember, everything that I learned, I really learned in elementary school. Maybe the first 5, 6 years, okay, yeah, I get it. I learned how to read. I learned math, basic math. I still haven't used geometry and algebra and all that shit yet. How come they don't give us those social skills in high school? My friends have taught me how to pump gas. How come you don't teach, boys should go to, they have home ec where girls learn to cook? Boys should learn, basic stuff. I think I know how to be a man class. in high school. You don't learn jack. But why though? Social. It's socially constructed that way. So nobody talks about the structure of our society. We just go along with it. Now we notice something. Hey, this. Come on, man. Look at our voting system. Y'all know that the electoral college actually. You could win the popular vote, and this happened quite a bit. Last, I think, 3 or 4 elections. You could win the popular vote, but lose the electoral vote. What? The electoral. So if you just win the big states, remember, like we just went through this. Trump said that he won the electoral votes, but Biden won the electoral college. I mean, Trump said that he won the popular vote, but Biden said that he won the electoral college. So he became president. Are you serious? So do y'all votes count or not? I mean, I don't vote, but do y'all votes? I mean, but why is it set up that way? It's set up that way because a group of people got together and created a social norm. Now, these social norms, nobody said that they was true. I need y'all, man. I'm trying to help y'all, man. What I did, I went through my life and I sat down and I took out everything, especially mine. It started with, with religion, and then I started with, my education about money, and then I went into, and this one was rough, my diet. And I remember I did a seminar, and man, I forgot a girl. She came down all the way from Seattle. This was way back. I still friends with them on Facebook. She wrote a book called, The Slave Diet. And that book, man, yeah, Dr. I forgot her name. But I still got a video on my first YouTube channel. She came down to Infrastructure Ground, and we did a class on this. And that's when I started Theories of Nutrition. So why? Now, I understand why, because remember, Master would throw the stuff out. We would go in there, dig it out, and we would season it so it tastes good. So that's the current African American, that's what's called soul food. That shit'll kill you. I remember, that was my first day of fruit only. Woo, I was happy to get off of that dead carcass. That was rough. Don't get me wrong now. It was, we'll get some good points. So what is a social norm? A social norm is a cognitive representative of what a group thinks and feels. A social norm. Social norms are always called hidden codes. So social norms and hidden codes are the same. But they're only hidden because nobody talks about them. Every culture, like the Hispanic culture, they got certain hidden codes. Because if you grew up in Spanish culture, Thea, our mom was, basically, and then the little kids are treated like, especially here in San Antonio, they treat like gods. But it's usually the boys, though. Like the little girls, they just kind of serve the dudes. And I go, blah, 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 and the dad just sitting there watching TV, and the ladies are running around speaking Spanish, blah, 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 blah. And the men just sitting around brewskis, and like the women are really taught to serve. It's really interesting. But you go to the hood, tell you, baby, give me a plate. Get your ass up and get your own plate. Totally different. But one thing about the hood, you walk to somebody's house, you better speak. You find the head of the house and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so. Now, the young generation, not so much. My generation, if I went into somebody's house and you walk past an older black adult and you didn't speak, you got chest stomped. Or when you got home, because they would call and tell you about, yes, y'all, what man came over here and walked in my house, they didn't speak. I remember my grandmother snatching me up. Boy, you go to Miss Hazel's house or you go to this person's house and you walk in and you didn't speak. I was a little kid. I'm playing. I'm having fun. That is a hidden code. That's a social norm. Every Negro in the hood, no, you go to somebody's house, you better speak. Find the daddy, the mama, who running the house. Look them in the eye. How you doing, Mr. Alexander? How you doing, sir? Mr. Alexander will give you the head nod. Now, nowadays, it's kind of like I was telling you guys, when a black man, and my kids said, oh, Dad, why y'all do that? Because they was half black and half white, so they were trying to do both cultures. And they would say, I know my daughter used to ask me, do you know him? I said, no. I said, well, why y'all both nod your head when y'all saw each other? It's a head nod. That's a hidden code. That's a social norm. Now, the new generation, you are past these good black dudes now with the hair in a bun and their skinny jeans on. I do it all the time in the gym. Sometimes I want to go over there and slap the dogs. But, okay, let me back up. Everybody, it's a family show. These young little gay mother... Oh, but damn, it's still a family show. My bad. Let's get back on topic. This vortex mathematic energy from within each and every one of us is the divine God self. Now, Marco Rodin was one of the guys that really, really went into vortex math and breaking it down, especially the 3, the 6, and the 9. My point today is for you to understand that if you do not become exceptional, if you do not establish exceptional status in a narrow domain, you're in trouble moving forward. The dominant culture, I'm noticing, it's crazy. I mean, it is crazy. Like, making money hand over fist online, like I've been making money like it was, like I had my own printing press. Not so much now. The whole economy has changed. People have the middle class is gone or going. Your discretionary income, if it's not gone, it is going fast. Because the amount of money that you're making is staying the same. Shit, gas is doubled, tripled in some cases. Groceries has doubled and tripled. Did your money double or triple? No. Only the 1%ers. Everybody else, you got the same money, but you got more bills now. So it's harder for me to make money. I still make money, but it requires you to do what I'm doing. I am begging you, as somebody who has always been ahead of the curve by the grace and mercy of the Big G. That's just my, that's in my name. As I said before, these young whippersnappers, like TikTok is funny because you do like, yeah, what are you talking about, brother? Now remember, everybody has my book, The Principle of Name, right? Now remember, so I have 3 books that are really, they're all inside of your Dear Canoe report, but I also have them separately, and I sell them separately. You should do that too. Really, I got 45 chapters inside the Dear Canoe report. That's 45 books. If I took the Dear Canoe report aside and pieced it out, which is what I do for people who say, oh, shit, I used to sell it for a lot more than what I do now. It's $4.99. Say $4.99, man, for a book? People don't understand. But they'll pay for $4.95 for a 15 or 20-page book. And then they'll pay another. So by the time they end up paying it, they pay double, and they just pay for the thing up front. But that's the new generation. That's the TikTok generation. And it's interesting because I can do that. You are noticing I put out a new book almost every day. There's nothing but a conversation that me and you have. Sometimes I take the conversation, and while I'm talking, I have my Microsoft Word document up, and I'm doing speak to text. Sometimes I send it, after I'm done, I send it to Rev. Sometimes I just do just a blank audio. It's still the same thing. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you have to be able to understand how to repackage or repurpose, because now the hidden codes and the social norms are changing, because now the dominant culture is structured, and this is structured or engineered low social economic status. What happens to the brain? Excuse me, doing low social economic status. When we talked about that, we talked about the health effects of low social economic status. And pretty much everybody that's quote unquote melanated, they got one, if not all, of these issues. I'm trying to think of somebody who don't. Ain't very many people out there that don't have either hypertension, dyslexia, diabetes, smoking, obesity, poor diet, or physical inactivity. All of those are the result. Ain't got shit to do with what you eat, and it has to do with a mental disposition. That's the result of a social construct that says, I'm going to make you feel. Whether it's real or not, nobody cares. But I'm going to make you feel less. I'm going to make you feel like yourself lost value. You as an individual lost value. You are not a Kardashian. You can't do what Kanye West does. Feel bad. You can't do what, Emmett Smith does. Feel bad. So you watch Love and Hip Hop. So now you vicariously live through the life of others because you yourself, you feel. Now remember, this is the definition. This is taught at the Leadership Academy by your boy Klaus Schwab. This is inside of the Great Reset, COVID-19, Agenda 2030 now. Used to be Agenda 21. Let's say for another time. What is taught? How to lower the collective consciousness of humanity down to 120, because that's the only way a war can be popped off and everybody agrees. In the history of the world, no war has ever been fought when the global consciousness was above 125. Before COVID-19, the global consciousness was 230. Before, everybody was living a dream, everybody had hope, everybody had joy, peace. Yeah, things was wrong, but on average, the globe, we're talking about the global now, the global consciousness was 230 before COVID started. Now, they just measured the global consciousness, the frequency of everybody on the planet on average. There's some high vibrational alkibulons like myself and you, but then you go to the hood, there's niggas mean mugging you. Why? Gas went up, food went up, everything went up except for your salary. So how do you feel? Low social economic status. Because of what? Social constructionism. So this social constructionism is this ability that the dominant culture, this is not by accident, because they know your social norms and your hidden codes. It is socially normal for you to be happy, for you to make X amount of dollars, for you to grow up, for you to get, married and get, 2.5 kids, White House, house, picket fence, the American dream. That is acceptable. That is the construct that was developed by the dominant culture. But what is called American lie, really, American dream. But when we get into open understanding that your ideals, your beliefs, and your values, they were socially constructed. Now remember, it's not based upon a belief. It's based upon a group of people who got together and decided everybody will drive on the right side. Why here in the U.S., we're the only country that drives on the right? Why we are the only country that reads from left to right? Everybody else reads from right to left. When I was in Japan, everything was different. Why? Well, here in the United States, there was a group of people, they got together, they decided. So is it right or is it wrong? No, it's not right or wrong, Doc, it's a decision. Your religion, it ain't right or it's wrong, it's a decision. It's a social norm. See, anybody study moral relativism? Like if you really sat down and if you slow down, if you got people, you can't do that because not you personally, of course, but the globe can't do that because the globe is on the treadmill of life. They know if you get off the treadmill, you're going to have time to research and study. You're going to ask questions. And you're going to, hey, why do we eat 3 meals a day? Why is bacon and eggs and toast, like pancakes, why is that breakfast? Who decided that was breakfast? Like I'm asking for a friend. Like the body doesn't need 3 meals a day. You can probably get by with 2, probably 1, like I'm doing right now. Full as a tick. So who decided that, you're supposed to get married at 18? Or are you supposed to go to high school for 12 years? Or you're not supposed to date, or you are supposed to date? Who decided all of these, quote-unquote, social norms? Now, they were here when you got here. Everything that you do is a social norm. Now, I'm not against social norms. I just examine them, and I got rid of the ones that don't work. And guess what? My whole life changed because of social constructionism. When you realize that society is constructed by a group of people that don't look like you, shit, your life changed, bro. And when you realize that your religion you got was formulated by a bunch of people that don't look like you, you think they had you in mind? Melanated man, melanated woman, when they constructed the 14th Amendment? Y'all do know y'all ain't citizens, right? They never, well, that may be too heavy for some of you guys. So let me make sure y'all understand, because we live in a world and we don't understand. We do understand, but we don't understand. Because when I talk to people about the social constructionist objective and what they believe and what they have established and what they communicate, it ain't got nothing to do with our perspective. So if you stop believing in it, what happens to it? It goes away. But what do you mean? Well, reality is a result of things that exist because we collectively agree that they should exist. That's reality. Now, I said it slowly because you're going to do what I did when I first did this January 1st of 2019. When I first sat down and I went through everything that I believe. I started with my teeth. Why do I brush my teeth the way that I do? Then I did some research and I found Weston Price. I forgot his name. I think it was Weston Price. Weston Price. Yeah, Weston A. Price. And I researched Weston A. Price. That's when I stopped. When I did. The worst thing you can do is a root canal. Shit, I had 3 of them. I put all those teeth out. No one has ever had cancer that did not have a root canal. Y'all understand? So I don't know if y'all understand. Source code, do they understand? So Weston Price knew there were some people he found out in Bumbuck, Egypt somewhere. None of them had cavities, and none of them brushed their teeth. It blew my mind. So then I tell you guys about, I buy my toothbrush from a company over in Hawaii that makes special toothbrushes that have half of the fibers or the little plastic bristles, and then plastic gets into the body, that BH that causes all these problems. So they use a different element besides plastic. Because why? Put that plastic in your mouth every day. Over time, what happens? So are you doing with the current toothbrushes on the market? Now, but why is it on the market? Well, there's a group of people that probably didn't look like you. They didn't have your health in mind and your teeth in mind. They developed it. You didn't have no input in it. Now, this is just one example. And Weston Price, that dude was a dentist. And he said that, hey, if you eat whole, processed foods, you're in trouble. Your teeth are in trouble. But if you eat unprocessed foods, even meat, wild caught, then you good. That's one example. Then, I already know with the whole religion thing. I went through the religion thing, and I was just like, hold up, time out. That can't be true. There's no way that can be true, man. And it like I told you guys, it messed me up. Because what I did is I saw that men got together at the Council of Nicaea. They all got together, and they determined, hey, the book of Enoch got to go. The book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night, the book of Creation, the book of Jubilees. They got all of these books that's supposed to. So I went to the Ethiopian Bible. They got a whole bunch of books in it that the King James Bible don't have. Then I ask people who believe in, tongue-talking, water-baptized folk. They never heard of it. They're like, what were you talking about, brother? I'm talking about pastors, 30, 40 years. Can I talk about the Semitic? Then I talk about the Masoretic Jews. I say, hey, y'all heard about the Masoretic Jews? They wrote the Septuagint, and they manipulate. They put jots and tittles. That's what the Bible says. Heaven and earth will pass away before one jot and one tittle. So source code already knew they was going to manipulate the word before he even wrote it. If you want to use that term, if you believe in the word. So there's a group of men. They got together at the Council of Nicaea. That was just one of them. I think there was three of them. They took, well, why? Well, none of them were Alkeylons. They probably didn't look like you. No, I'm sure they had other reasons too. So what is the solution to all of this? Well, remember what I said at the beginning of the show. Right now, the global consciousness is 125. And if we don't raise the global consciousness, if you don't raise your consciousness, what are we saying about, third grade basic English? If you don't be happy, bro. Yeah, but you don't understand reality. Bump reality. You just make up your mind, like I did. I don't like living in a world without my daughter, Shamura. But unless I go do some demonic witchcraft stuff and conjure her up and bring her back, and then it ain't going to be the same girl that left. I got to learn how to exist in a world without my 19-year-old daughter. Just like I had to learn how to exist in a world without my biological mother. I don't know if y'all know what it's like to be a little kid and lose your only caregiver. Like, you got to, think, brothers and sisters. Now, you went through some shit, too. I ain't the Lone Ranger. We all went through stuff. So now, what do? Well, you must become exceptional. Remember, the dominant culture wants you to stay in a low, unexceptional social status. The only way for you to get, because remember, as I said at the beginning of the show, now, my money went from zoop down to zero. And then I had to re-engineer myself because why? My market, they ain't got no money now. Why? Gas went up. Food went up. But they money on their job stayed the same. So now, everybody who was dropping $1,000 for this, $1,000 for that, that's why I had the meeting about, y'all sure y'all want to fly to Dallas? Well, we can do this shit in a webinar and you can keep that $1,000 in your pocket. Or we can build your business with that $1,000 and with the profit from that, then we could come. That's a good manager. I'm trying to help y'all. I ain't just trying to come to Dallas so we can all look at each other and see what we're wearing, see what everybody look like. Shit, we can do that through a webinar. We can do a Zoom call. But hey, y'all know how us black folks like to do. We like to floss like we got money, but we don't want to really, really have money. That shit requires effort, Doc. Overstand. I already been there, so I already know. When I used to spend all my money to go to a damn Amway rally, yes, I was pumped. Yes, I came home, though, and my lights was turned off. One time I came home, my shit was in the street. Had to go live with my sister Brenda, get this rebuild. I'm not here to play games, brothers and sisters. I ain't trying to floss. I ain't trying to look good, try to outdo, some other black folks on Facebook. None of them niggas paying my bills. So I'm highly recommending that you become a good manager of them few pennies you got. You want to manage them now. You do not want to, where we're going, I don't know if I'm trying to say this plainly as I can. I don't do fear. I do reality. These fools constructed this. And unless we, as a group, raise our consciousness together, the world, the globe, is in deep kimchi because right now the globe is at 125. The conscious level of the globe, frequency-wise, is 125. It's supposed to be 230. That means love, joy, peace, justice, meekness. So you're oscillating, vibrating at a higher level. So the collective human frequency. So you got to hold your high frequency. How do you do that, Doc? How do you hold a high frequency? The Bible says think on these things, but how though? Because bad shit happens to me, bro. I know. I lost like I tell you guys before. That's the best example I got. I mean, it don't even get no worse than just be sitting at home watching TV and you get a call screaming and yelling, your 19-year-old daughter is freaking dead. It doesn't. I mean, I've heard a lot of worse shit, but it doesn't get too much worse than that. So what do? Do you guys understand? If I would have quit, I'd have lost everything I had. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be dead or probably in prison. I ain't got no safety net. I ain't got no rich uncles and aunts. If it is to be, it's up to me. You probably in the same situation. So what do? Well, you must become exceptional in a narrow domain. I am not talking good. That shit doesn't cut no more. Nobody's going to pay people who are good. Exceptional means trust. You have to, man, we are now in the culture or in the environment. People only buy from people that they trust. So how do you build trust on a global scale? How do you build trust? Now, there's a lot of things. I just got to tell you what I've done. So people buy from me, not only because of the product, but because they trust. So I have a relationship with Dr. Span. I have a relationship with Sister Aggie. I have a relationship with Brother George. I have a relationship with Sister Carolina. We developed that relationship over time. I have a relationship with Sister Diane Coleman. I have a relationship with the great Reverend Dr. Bishop Martinet. What's up, Dr. Martinet? I saw you snuck in here. You was late, too. Don't think I didn't see you, Dr. Martinet. I'm going to need you to go and knock out the Marine Corps push-ups. None of that Army stuff. Send me the video. Because, I know where you live at, Dr. Martinet. I would show up at your house. I ain't scared. Okay, back to the topic. I got on this plan. Things exist because we collectively agree that they should exist, not because they're true. That's where everything starts at. So you must become exceptional in a narrow domain. If you make the mistake that I made and you cast a broad net, thankfully, I've narrowed down two really, really, really things that I'm exceptional. I mean, I'm the baddest mother. Nobody has Dear Canadian reports. I've seen a lot of people, man. A lot of people try to steal my stuff, man. People copy, man. They still out there. Bootlegging this, that, and the other. I'll tell you about my boy, one of my best clients. If I said his name, you'd be like, what? Yeah, my boy went out, and then people started calling me, Brother Will, Brother, what's your name? Yeah, selling pretty much the exact copy of what you got. I just let you know. Okay. And a lot of people started calling me. So I asked the brother, and he was like, no, brother, praise Jesus. I wouldn't do that. People told me, man, you should get your lawyer and sue, brother. Man, you think I'll put negative energy into that? I said, brother, do it, man. I hope you do well. Like I tell you guys, anybody, y'all ain't got to ask me, man. You go to Blog Talk Radio, find a show, put it to rail, turn it into text, put a cover on it, and sell that sucker like hotcakes. It is fair because I know what the beep I'm talking about. Brothers and sisters, they have constructed an environment where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. You get to choose, however, what side you're going to be on. I don't know about you guys, but everybody that I meet and everybody that I know, we're going to get richer. How are we going to do it? Because if we have to go through this step by step, remember what I said, instead of spending $1,000 for your plane ticket, when I tell you guys my suggestion, we take that $1,000, we put it in there, whatever we come up with, I'm gonna match it. If I got 10 people that's willing to put $1,000 that you're gonna spend anyway for your plane ticket and your hotel to come to Dallas for us to sit around a round table and look at each other and extend the ideals, that's great. Don't get me wrong. We can still do it. I got the money. I don't have no problem. But if we got 10 people, that's $10,000, and I'm gonna put $10,000. That's 20. Shit, we can go to Bend, Oregon and buy some land and start growing some hemp. Or we could do some other stuff. I know a lot of stuff that we can double that $10,000. That it turns it into 20. Then we take that 20, turn it into 40. Take that 40, turn it into 80. We've got to learn how to leverage our capital, brothers and sisters. Because where are they going? Where these good old boys is taking the world? Y'all don't want to go there. I grew up like that. I'm telling you. You don't want to go there. They're going to go back to Sugar Ditch Alley in backwoods Mississippi. No running water, no electricity. These good old boys got a plan. Y'all might want to read Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset. COVID-19 is the greatest. I mean, them boys are just salivating at the opportunity that they have to take your money. So you must have what I call an exceptional status. Y'all know what first of all, exceptional means unusual. It doesn't really mean anything. Remember we were talking about last night in a private show, and we was breaking down the way to manage The 5 elements was the word peace, be still. If you guys missed last night's show, man, God bless y'all. But you might want to. So Jesus, remember the story? Raising storms. Like right now, bad shit happens. Jesus sleeping. His own boss was like, this dude, he really don't care about us, man. He can't. Because he's sleeping like a newborn, and we about to die. So Jesus gets up, saw the raging storm, and he said, peace, be still. Those 3 words are the key to managing the 5 elements: earth, wind, fire, water, and ether. You got that power right now. But number 1, you got to be in a state of peace. But ask your Reverend what it means. He's going to say some mental shit. You know what it means? It means to be dumb. It means non-intelligent. We broke it down last night. See, as an example, I told you guys last night, when I worked in a Sumac prison, and y'all heard the example, this is the best example. Would I do it today? Hell no. Why? I'm too smart. See, all of y'all, y'all went to these historically black colleges. Y'all some smart alkebulons. Y'all so smart that you believe physics. You believe that you cannot walk in water. You believe you cannot turn water into wine. You believe you can't raise the dead. You believe that you're not immortal. You believe that you're going to die. You believe that you're supposed to age. You got proof too. You got a social construct that a bunch of non-alkebulons put together to keep alkebulons from experiencing their true God-given power. You believe that shit. Read the book, The Order of the Nephilim. If anybody wants to destroy their worldview, read that. But what's the point, Doc? What is the point? Stick to the script. See, the point is, the word peace means that you have an exceptional, it's like autism. You got an exceptional IQ in one area. That's your purpose. Everything else, you dumb as a box of rocks. So therefore, like when I worked in the prison, and I had my little radio and my keys, I went to the academy, and they told me, go out there and you take charge of that pod, officer. You are in charge. You tell them, and you whip them boys in the shape. Now, they didn't tell me it was going to be freaking 90 of me now, 30 on each tier, 3 stories, and they didn't tell me that they was all on death row. And they didn't tell me that most of them suckers was Mexican mafia. Now, Mexican mafia, I don't know if y'all know, they like when they get you, your body's in acid somewhere liquefied. In other words, they ain't finding teeth, gums, nothing. You will disappear off the planet. They didn't tell me all of that. They didn't tell me that they sit in their cage all day and work out and practice, stabbing you in your organs with freaking toothbrushes that freaking file down sharp enough to, man, it was crazy. And all they do all day, take pillowcases, draw your face on it, and practice stabbing your ass in your vital organs. So if they do get to you, you got about 30 seconds before it's assalamu alaikum salam. But me, I didn't know. So Sister Addie, you know what I did, Sister Addie? I walked in there and I just say, all you mother, get in line. When I show up, we're going to run this shit like this. And they just started laughing. And then they started saying now some stuff and, este negro, pinche puto, cabrón. And I thought, oh, I knew those were bad words, Sister Addie. I didn't know no Spanish. But I could tell by their facial expressions, that was not a good thing. Well, the next day, the warden, he was Spanish too, they transferred my black ass out of there. No, they told me. So I was like, that's when I knew the inmates run the prison. But they said, we don't like you here. You must go. I said, boo-boo, I ain't going nowhere. I got the badge. Next day I was gone. Then I was there with the Black Panther, my boys from Chicago. And then Negroes thought since I was black, and they was black, I was going to do all of these favors. So I looked at the rule books at that, and it was just like, cell doors closed at 8. So at 8 o'clock, click, all the cell doors were closed. The Negroes lost their minds, Daddy. Started throwing toilet paper, was burning in the cells and stuff. Like, what the hell's wrong with y'all? Hey, man, all the other guards, bro, they let us stay out, so we can go out and, rape all the new dudes. Ain't nobody getting raped on my shift, bro. They're like, okay, we're going to see. So they went to the warden, and the warden said, well, shit, he's black, he's black. Y'all stuck with him. Long story short, as you guys know, I was so dumb that they had to allow me to exist. It's the same way the placebo pill works. Placebo pill works because you don't have no clue that it's a placebo. See, right now, the way that social relativism and moral relativism and this social constructionism that we're living in, it works because we don't know we have spiritual constructionism. We're supposed to override the sociality with spirituality, but we don't know. They don't teach us that at Ebenezer Baptist. Because if they did, we'd all be spiritual giants instead of social peasants. Nobody will be suffering from low socio-economic status. Because we won't be trying to be no Kardashian. We won't be looking at no damn Love and Hip Hop. We won't be worrying about what Kanye's doing. We won't be trying to buy no damn Air Jordans. We go to Walmart and bet the shoe fits. We're going to put it on, pay out $30, and we're going to go and we're going to wear that just like it was a 600 pair of Air Jordans. Why? We're not interested in no damn economic status. We're just pilgrims passing through. But we got conned into believing that, oh, snap, everybody wearing Timberlands. So Daddy, we're going to get some Timberlands. Now, we don't need them, but we want them. So now we just buy what we want instead of what we need. I mean, not us, of course, but other people. So, number one, peace. Number two, be. So the word dumb, the word be means exist. The word still means kept in check. Woo! We're going to break it down a little further later on tonight. So, brothers and sisters, in conclusion, we have a conundrum, but we do not have a conundrum because we are all high vibrational like Tibetans. There's no way you can sit and listen to me rant and rave for an hour and a half if you was not a highly vibrational Tibetan. That just simply means that you have this treasure hidden inside of you. What is this treasure? Christ in you, the hope of glory. So now you have the divine mind of God inside of you. That means that you can align your mind with God's design. That simply means bad stuff happens. You take a deep breath, do like I do. Pull on side the road, give you a good cry. Like I did this morning, the dream was so real, man, I woke up with tears on my cheeks, so I had to get some tears in real life. Because I had a dream, and Shimura, it was like, it was so vivid, it was so real. It was almost as if like my daughter visited me in my dream last night, and all we did was just grab each other, we just hugged each other, and I just cried and cried and cried. And they were like, hey man, we're on stage. I remember, like I was telling you guys at the beginning of the show, the dream was about when I passed a test. It was like law, like I think it had to do with like law school. But it was like me and Steph Curry, and I was like, my sister was like, well, Steph Curry, could represent. Well, that's not safe for not time. But anyway, the dream was very, very good. But then it brought back the fact that my daughter's not here, so it was kind of triggered. So I could still be sitting around here feeling bad. But I'm thankful for the 19 years that I had with my daughter. And especially for the last 2, because we were together full time pretty much. So I think about those things. And that raises my frequency. So that way I can establish a very narrow view and become very exceptional. Everybody on this call, moving forward, I'm going to be working with you to make you very unusual, not typical. I don't want you to be another cook. I don't want you to be another banker or another lawyer. I want you to be exceptional in a very narrow, unique domain, space. Why? That makes you immune to the social construct of the dominant culture. Because your market, your brand is going to develop trust because of your exceptional skill set. And they will know you because you will be their vibrational equivalent because you have a matching vibe. Like the video I posted on my Facebook channel where the guy has a tuning fork, 440 and I think 512 was the other number. He hit the fork that's 512. The other fork is 440. The fork that is 440 does nothing. And then it has a balloon attached to it as well. He takes out another fork. He hits it. The other fork, tuning fork, starts to vibrate immediately. The balloon starts to vibrate. Because they are frequency brothers or frequency sisters. That's how you make your money moving forward. Moving forward, advertising, all that stuff, they're going to still do it, though. A lot of people spend a lot of money on advertising, all this other stuff. But guess what? Where we're going, your verbs will establish your vibe. And the people who use the same verbs as you, those are the people going to be of your tribe. So if you speak Christianese, there's going to be other people that speak Christianese. And y'all will be able to vibe together. Now, we won't see each other just like when I walk around, I see money because I'm on the same frequency as money. I'm not on the same frequency as the current, low-level Christianity. That's why I don't vibe on that level. Because I vibe on a different level. So I draw people that are the vibrational equivalent. That's how you guys got here. You must do the same thing. So the first thing we got to establish is your vibrational destiny, your vibrational purpose. And that is the thing that likes you more than you like it. Now, the thing that likes you is based upon your ideals, your beliefs, and your values. So you must create from there, whether they be right or wrong. Because we don't live in a world of right and wrong. We live in a world of social contracts. You construct your reality based upon your mentality. It is done unto you as you believe. The Bible backs me up. Says the same thing. I can go to Hebrews 1, Hebrews 11, 1, 2, and 3. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. By this we know that those of old received a good report. So the worlds were framed by the word. So once you understand that your words frame your world, stop using the words of the dominant culture. That's where we start. Use your words. They say this, what say you? They say, we're going to raise the gas prices. You say, I don't care, I will outproduce the gas prices. They say, man, bad things are getting ready to happen. You say, greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. All things work together for my good. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. So we got to keep a high vibration. This, my brothers and sisters, is a serious test for your vibrational density. Make sure that you hold your vibrational frequency and you hold it high. Brothers, I love you. I appreciate you. We'll see you mañana or later on tonight. God bless.